Thank you all for 200K. If you want to support this channel, please consider
200K,
making
shout
a
out to that
donation
man.
or clip my videos and share it on all platforms. Don't forget to tag me.
Definitely tag the guy. Facts. All right, let's do it. Let's get into it. See what it's going for.
Is it easier for a man or a woman to acquire sex?
It is much easier for a woman to acquire sex.
Why is
True.
that?
Because we choose. We choose whether or not we have the option of whether or not we're going to let a man have sex or not.
True.
I don't think that that's necessarily true.
I love how he puts the edit together. I like how he puts them directly at odds right in the beginning. Love that.
Don't women typically consent to sex?
Consent goes both ways.
True.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. What's the longest that a man's ever made you wait for sex?
You know what? It's happened.
You see how instead of answering the question, the first thing that she opted to do was say that it happened before. But that's not what he's asking. He's asking what is the longest that it's happened.
But does that typically happen? She's speaking on outliers as opposed to the norm, just I guess to make the point that it's not like completely one-sided. And that's something he's not actually saying, but
Maybe. No, it doesn't typically happen.
Okay, so
Right.
isn't it fair to say that women generally control access to sex more than men
If
do?
a woman wants sex, she can get it. If a man wants sex, doesn't mean that he can necessarily get it.
Okay, so is it safe to say that women typically control access to sex more than men do?
oh my God, she's fighting that concession or conceding, or I don't know if concession is the right word, but she's fighting that fact that she knows is true. Like, look at it. She's trying to figure it out in her head why that's not the case, when she knows that it kind of is the case, and she's already admitted it.
Because it's easier for a woman to get sex than it is for a man?
I don't like the phrasing that you're boxing me into, but
But I mean, would you have a different way of explaining it? I mean, is that not generally true?
I think that
I mean, if it's easier for a woman to get sex and it's harder for a man to get sex, we can't conclude that women typically control access?
okay.
It's easier
There
for a
we
girl
go.
for sure.
There we go. And my son is so litigious about it, man. He does it in such a calm, collected fashion. That's what makes It's Complicated so fucking dope.
Yeah, guys are thirsty.
Oof.
Since it's harder for men, should women be surprised that guys have lower standards for sex than women?
Not really, because I mean, they just want to get it in, right?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, real quick. Real quick. I love that part. I go Fred.
Don't women have the privilege of being more picky because they have more options?
I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean you guess? You kind of already just said it.
Don't women have the privilege of being more picky because they have more options?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of an incel?
No.
Incel?
Yeah.
No.
And she said
I haven't.
incest.
Have you ever heard of an incel?
No.
Okay, incel stands for involuntarily celibate, and it refers to a person who can't get any sex.
Ooh.
Who is more likely to be involuntarily celibate, men or women?
Man.
There you go. You saw she was like, men. She had to throw that joint in there because she knew it would. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one of the benefits of, I guess, being a woman, and you kind of have that option. She was like happy about that.
Men. I think it's 1 in 3 men are not having sex right now.
In today's society, if a man goes up to a woman and asks her for her number or Snapchat, he's looked at as like a creep and a pervert. But if a woman goes up to a man, it's 100% okay.
So, interesting concession. I mean, I think that I would. No, I don't think. Let me just be honest. I wasn't in so for like a time. There was like a period of like 4 years where I just wasn't active, and it's a tricky situation because I thought how he thought. He looks to be about I don't know, maybe like anywhere between like 18 and like 21. He's definitely young, and that's like a relatively around the time that I was on my incel shit. And it's that thought process that if a guy approaches a woman, then he's viewed as a creep, and there's no way for him to actually pursue, when that couldn't be any further from the truth be told, simply because that's how people are meeting people. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, social media is one of the ways that you can approach women or like approach women or whatever the case is. But we've got to be honest, like, nothing is going to be able to beat an in-person interaction. And there are a lot of factors involved. You know what I mean? It could be maybe just it wasn't the day. Let's say you approach a woman and she says no, whatever the case is. It just wasn't the day. Or it just wasn't the day for her. There's men out here to this day approaching women and clapping cheeks. It's not what he's making it out to be is pretty much the point that I'm trying to make. And I can see from like, I guess, years of experience that this isn't the case. This is untrue.
Which is not okay to me.
Why are men shamed for not being able to get sex, but also shamed for trying to get sex?
Catch
That's
22.
a good question.
Catch 22.
I think it's the way they go about trying to get sex.
That's true.
Because women want relationships. Well, I can't say all women, but a good amount of women want relationships. And when you meet the men that just want sex, it kind of tarnishes everything.
Oh, I'm going to push back on that a little bit because, I don't know, I'm going to take a guess and say that this young lady is about somewhere between like the late 20s and early 30s. I can't be certain. But I think that if we're talking about the climate of like, let's just call them like Gen Zers, I feel like there's a multitude of factors involved that opens the door for them to be more upfront about whatever sexual favors or sexual activities they'd like to do. And oftentimes it doesn't necessarily revolve around relationships. It's more so just a matter of wanting to have sex. I think it's more acceptable and there's less of a reason to feel like you have to be reserved. So I think that, I guess in her case, maybe around the time that she was in like her early 20s or whatever the case is, it wasn't as accepting. It wasn't as, I guess, carefree in that regard. But I don't know. I think that women are always going to want to be in relationships. But the current climate for women is a little bit different than maybe it was when she was in her younger years.
Is it fair to shame men for being incels when women are the ones who control access to sex?
That's a good point.
I don't think you should shame anybody for anything.
Is it fair to shame men for being incels when women are the ones who control access to sex?
No.
No, he said
Not
no.
at all.
Isn't that victim shaming?
It's complicated. You lost me on that one. Yeah, I mean, you're not a victim. Being an incel doesn't make you a victim. It just means that your approach is wrong. There's a bunch of different things you can change about yourself if you would like to be someone who's sexually active. Generally speaking, incels kind of have a ism about them. They have, like, I guess in a stereotypical sense, you think of the keyboard dweller who's in their mom's basement or whatever the case is. And I think that, one, it has to do with a lack of confidence and a lack of social skills, because those are two very important things that you need to develop as a young man. Not to mention maybe an unrealistic expectation of what is supposed to happen. I think that if you're really serious about pursuing partners or whatever the case is, you have to be well aware of the fact that you're going to deal with rejection, and you can't allow the rejection to break you and to break your will and to break your ego. You have to put yourself out there, and that's scary. You know what I mean? Coming from a man, you know what I mean? I'm confident, but even still, anytime that you have to open yourself up to the possibility of rejection, it is kind of nerve-wracking in a sense, but you can't allow that to deter you from the journey. You can't allow that to deter you from the pursuit, because the pursuit is, you got to fall in love with the pursuit. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes, 100%.
Isn't every man who's been rejected temporarily an incel?
Yes.
Is it fair to portray incels as lazy, immature losers because they don't conform to women's standards and selectivity?
No. Yes. No.
Yes.
Whoever said yes, I kind of fuck with them. I can't front. They added some realness to this, to be honest with you.
No.
Fucking incel.
fucking incels. I love that.
If a man can't get sex, he might be made fun of and called names just for that.
True.
And then, well, also I think if a man does get a lot of sex, it might be like everyone praises him also for getting a lot of sex. So I don't really think that there's a whole lot of men out there that are getting shamed for having a lot of sex.
I don't think so
Is
either.
it fair to portray incels as lazy, immature losers because they don't conform to women's standards and selectivity?
Negative. No. Everybody is built different and has their own standards in life.
If a man does conform, does that make him a simp?
Negative. No.
Why is it more acceptable to shame men for having low standards versus shaming women for having unrealistic high standards?
I love it when I love it in these videos when somebody is given a different perspective. I watch a lot of these videos and I love his rhetoric because, like I said before, he's so litigious, but he's elegant and eloquent, I should say, and elegant, I would say. You know what I mean? He's very well informed when he's crafting his arguments, if you will. And I know that your average woman isn't really thinking about these perspectives because you would really have to either be a man or you would have to be empathetic enough to walk in a man's shoes in order to gain an understanding of what it is to be a man. And I don't think most women are doing that. And I'm not blaming them for that either, because why would you? It's not something that's very, it may not be something that's pertinent to you. But oftentimes people will be approached with these new perspectives and they're so quick to just ignore and sidestep and be kind of combative. And but you, like, just as often as I see that on the channel, I must admit I'll see people be kind of like and they really take in whatever it is that he says and they give it the thought process. You can see the gears turning and you can see that they're kind of informed. They were, you know what I mean, whatever perspective that he brought to their attention is kind of informing the situation for them in a way that's different, you know. Not to say they have to take it and run with it, but they have an open enough mind to take it in and process it and see the value in whatever it is that he's saying.
That is right. I'm speechless on that one.
Oh yeah, you kind of got me flabbergasted on that one.
Right, you're fluttered. Don't know what to say.
Damn. Survival of the fittest. Whoever seems like they're about to get it in gets it in, and they continue their genes and whatnot.
Whoever seems like they're about to get it in gets it in. I fucks with that.
But besides,
oh man, it was 4:44 in the time code. All the astrology people are gonna be
that, like, I don't know.
So would you say, based on that women ultimately control the evolution of society?
Yes.
Based on the men that they choose?
Yes, it's because it's like the mating rituals. Like, they say yes or no in most breeds.
So then how are we
species.
living in a patriarchy where men have all the power?
Just because that's how society was set up when women were supposed to stay home and take care of the kids and the guys went out and did all that shit and we're supposed to rely on them.
What is the longest you've gone without having sex?
A year?
What is the longest by choice you've gone without having sex?
a year.
A year?
Probably like 18 years.
What is the longest by choice you've gone without having sex?
Probably like a month.
Who's more likely to lie about how long they've gone without sex, men or women?
Women.
Don't
True.
men lie about getting more and women lie about getting less?
True.
No.
Cap. He's cap. He's wearing the cap. We see a cap. He's capping right now.
Yeah.
At least he kept it a band. You know what I'm saying? He kept it a band. Yeah, I think so too. I think that women are more likely to lie on in hopes of lessening, I guess, their apparent sexual mileage, and men do the opposite. They kind of try to add to their sexual mileage in a sense, because of, I guess, you know, there's different standards and shit for guys and women. I mean, guys and women.
Don't men lie about getting more and women lie about getting less?
Yes.
Why?
Because we're seen as being tarnished for the more sex that we have.
Why are women who sleep around
That's true.
seen as sluts while men who sleep around are seen as studs?
Because men don't want to see that their woman that they have prospect to be interested in has been with every man.
Could it be because it's easier for a woman to be a slut?
No.
Well, don't women control access to sex?
They do, but there are many male sluts. They're just being praised for being that way.
But isn't it harder for a man to be a male slut than it is for a woman to be a female slut?
By your own concession. By your own concession, you did say that.
Depends on the man.
Wouldn't you say that the high value men with lots of options are rare?
Yeah.
So then wouldn't you say that it's more likely for your average woman to be a female slut than your average man?
Yes.
There we go. There we go. There we go. That's the thing I love about him. Sometimes he knows how to ask the right questions in order to get to the truthful answer. Because oftentimes I see he'll kind of ask an initial question and then he'll frame something from that initial question, and the person may say one thing in the beginning, then when he asks that follow-up question, they come with something a little bit different, and then when he, I guess, brings them on like the thought pattern or the thought train, they'll eventually arrive at whatever it is that they said first. You know what I mean? Now realizing that the first question that they answered kind of already sealed the deal for what the truthful answer to the final point of that topic is going to be.
Women sleep with who they want.
Now this is like a master class in like debate, you know what I'm saying? And just like semantics. Definitely like a master class in semantics and logician. He's a logician. He does logic well.
Men sleep with who they can.
Facts.
Facts. You heard her? She's not lying.
What's the
though.
difference between shaming a
Yo, she's smiling a lot.
woman for being a slut and shaming a man for being an incel? In other words, why are women shamed for having too much sex while men are shamed for not getting any sex?
Well, women can't have sex without being attached in some way.
Cap.
It's
Cap.
just in our.
I would say that is the truth for many women, but it's not. I can't say that like holistically.
Innate.
What do you mean they can't have sex?
Not that they can't have sex. They can't have sex without having some type of emotional attachment.
Why do you think men are more likely to be able to have sex without feelings than women?
Because you guys are made to procreate.
I mean, aren't y'all kind of made to procreate too? I'm just saying. I see what you're saying, but I mean, it takes two to tango.
Name is
So the saying goes.
involuntarily celibate. So the man is not choosing.
Yeah, he doesn't have a choice for that one. But us females, we definitely have a choice to be a slut or not.
Well, because women control access to sex.
I control whether you take my clothes off or not.
We do.
Don't women have a choice to be a slut, but a man doesn't have a choice to be an incel?
Yeah.
I think to a certain degree, incels have the option to not be incels. As I previously stated, even though the idea of incels is involuntarily celibate, I think that there are things that you can change about yourself, because I don't think that any person who's an incel, if you're an incel, you're not a well-rounded individual. Just truthfully, if you are an incel, you can't be that well-rounded of an individual, because you have people who are generally not well-rounded to begin with, who are able to just secure sex from people. So, like, I'm talking about really inept people. Like, sex isn't that hard to find, bro, unless you're like, you have like some type of extreme, like, I don't know, like, you're extremely lacking in the aesthetics department or whatever. But like, you know what I mean? Let's just say if you are not all that physically attractive, you could be funny. If you're funny, yo, I've seen some real ugly motherfuckers hee and ha their way into some pussy. Just truthfully speaking, there's something gregarious, there's something charismatic about somebody who's funny. You can dress your way into it. Maybe not as much, because, you know what I mean, the way that you dress has a certain personality involved in it, but it's not the end all be all. But it will get you closer into that door. It'll open that door just a little bit more for you to even have the chance to do so. If you make more money,
truthfully, that's kind of, you know what I mean, one of the ways that it happens. Everybody's not impressed by money, obviously, but if you can take her on a really nice date, it's a little bit more likely that that's going to happen. You know what I mean? There are a bunch of different things that you can do. And maybe not any of those things individually, but like if you start to improve on yourself, I don't think that there's any way that you can be involuntarily celibate, because it's a numbers game half of the time. If you do it enough, somebody, you know what I mean? If you kiss enough frogs, eventually it's going to turn into a princess. It's the way that the game is played, man, simply.
So then why would it be worse to call a woman a slut than it is to call a man an incel?
I don't know why it would be worse.
But our society labels it as worse.
They label being an incel worse than being a slut?
Well, in other words, a lot of women resent being called a slut when they have
Correct.
a choice to be a slut.
Yeah.
But it's okay for men to be called incels when men don't have a choice to be an incel because men don't control access to sex.
I think men don't have the choice on what they're doing, but nowadays with social media going the way it is, women have actually embraced slut. And that's the problem.
Do you think women today are more interested in relationships?
Yo. Brother, where is your shirt? Where is your shirt, bruh? I'm pretty sure that this takes place in like Las Vegas or something like that, so I know it'd be hot in Nevada. I get it, but dog, put a shirt on. Everybody else here had a shirt on. Where's yours? Come on.
Or hookups?
Yo, my son, he feels impassioned about this topic.
You know, I would say more hookups today.
Why?
Because they have all these rappers, you know, influencing them, like trying to. Basically, they're trying to play the role as men, you know, they're trying to play us out of our money. And
yeah, I mean, I can see what he's saying. Definitely
bullshit.
can see.
Me personally, I'm more interested in relationships. Women nowadays, I think, are more worried about their careers and hookups.
So if women are more interested in hookups, how can a man let a woman know he just wants to hook up without making her feel like a slut?
There isn't a way, no matter what.
So aren't we kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't?
Yes, you are.
Would you rather have the best sex you've ever had or the best food you've ever eaten?
Best food you ever eaten?
Yeah, food for sure.
That's a very interesting question. I don't even know if I could have I guess the first question that kind of comes to it is just like, I mean, if it's the food, how often can you get the food? I guess in the same sense as the sex, how often can you get the sex? But oftentimes, though, if you have it all the time, as good as it will be, it'll cease to kind of have the allure that it has if it's readily accessible. So it's a tough question to answer.
Best food I've ever eaten.
I'm a foodie. I like.
Would you rather eat all the junk food you want without gaining weight or have unlimited sex without being slut-shamed?
Unlimited
sex without being slut-shamed.
Wow. I'm surprised by that answer.
The bigger slut-shamers, men or women?
Women?
Why are there men who shame women for being sluts when men also complain about how hard it is to get laid? Are those the same men?
No. I think the men that are calling women sluts are looking for a woman that aren't sluts.
If a woman's body count doesn't matter, why is it typically the first thing women bring up to shame another woman they are jealous of? In other words, why would a woman ever slut shame another woman?
I love him, my son, but in other words, he frames that joint up. It's like, yeah. So in other words, my son is complicated. My son is litigious, man. I'm telling you.
Because they know deep down body count does matter.
Okay.
Is the main reason women don't want to be easy is because they don't want to be shamed? Or
easy?
Or could it be that they don't want to relinquish their sexual power over men?
I don't think either one of.
I mean, how do you, if you're slut shamed, like, how is that relinquishing power? This person, oh, you're a slut. You no longer have power over men. I mean, I think the power comes from the fact that you're able to have sex. Like, you control the gateway in a sense, or at least your gateway to sex. You can be one of the individuals, especially if you're in, like, you cross paths with a man, you control the sexual, I guess, progression within that interaction. You know what I mean? I guess you have the final say on it more so. I'm not gonna say you solely control it, but you generally have the final say. So I don't know if you being labeled a slut is going to change that fact.
Those. I think the reason why women don't want to be easy is because we don't want to have a body count, because we want to find somebody that wants us for who we are, and the guys that we're looking for don't want a woman with high body count.
Yeah, I think so. For the most part, I think so. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are people out there who don't care as much about body count, high value men that don't care as much about body count. I guess maybe the quality of the person, you know what I mean? Or maybe just the quality of the box too. I mean, that could be another thing. But yeah, I think generally speaking, more often than not, they're not too interested in somebody who's been passed around. If they're pursuing them in a romantic sense, I would say in particular, if it's just sex, then I'm pretty sure that they're not too concerned about how many other men have been there before them if it's just sex, because they're just going to be one of the many, you know what I'm saying? Having sex with that person is special, is just something to do at that point, you know? But if it's somebody romantically pursuing, then yes.
Why is it okay for women to feel entitled to be protected and provided for, but it's wrong for men to feel entitled to sex and intimacy?
I think after being provided for so long, and once you're comfortable in the relationship, that men are going to expect for you to be intimate with them at a certain point.
Are women doing men a favor by giving them sex?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
for a moment.
If a woman...
That's like cap so much. I just wanna... That's not true. Like, that's not true. I'm just saying that's not true.
Woman rewards a man with sex, why is there still pressure on him to perform and satisfy her?
I feel like men can be selfish.
But girls will not come back if they're not like doing well. Yeah.
So, listen, I think every man knows what it means to call it in for the night or just phone it in. Men can be selfish for sure. I've been selfish in my lifetime. I'm never gonna act like I'm not, but I generally want to please my partner if I'm being intimate with somebody. You know, I think it's important to. Not even just me, but in general, I think it's important that, you know, both sides are fulfilled, and it's a matter of recognizing that. But this concept that, you know what I mean, the pussy is a prize is so strange to me in that regard, because like, you know, having really good sex, in a lot of ways, it's work. That's why the term is putting in work. If you're putting in work, I mean, not to say you can't enjoy work, but it's more of, I think it's, you may derive pleasure, obviously in the physical sense, but there's a pleasure that could be taken in providing a pleasurable experience for your partner, but more so to anything similar to what she said, you're doing it more so because you want the person to come back to it. So as pleasurable as sex is a two-way street. Sex can be enjoyable for both. Ideally, if you're having sex, the goal is to have a good time, and generally speaking, it's the man who's going to be doing most of the work. So I don't get how women really are told and taught that it's supposed to be like, yeah, I'm doing you a favor. That's so dumb to me. Like, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't add up.
Well, why should a man have to earn the opportunity to please you sexually?
Get 'em. Get 'em.
Because women get to decide everything in other species, so why not human species?
Okay, but...
Like where, though? Like where in particular? Like...
Then if that's true, then why do we complain about being in a male-dominated patriarchy where men control women?
Ooh. Ooh. Get 'em. Yo, that... You saw that little, that was a look of defeat. She's probably not going to admit it. And that was an involuntary action. She had to express it because she knew that, this motherfucker got me. Her friend is really deep in thought. Her friend is sitting here like, She doesn't know. She's looking to her for support, and she's looking off into the distance because she has no idea what to respond to this with. Let's see what happens though, because I know that she's gonna say something. She's gonna have to. Oh, not the laughter.
Because
Look at, she's thinking so hard. Oh my God, look at her friend. Her friend is just like, my goodness. Look at this. Look at it.
it's the hunter and gatherer type of discussion, because we had to stay at home and wait for the men to come and hunt and bring
You used that one already. Come on now.
that shit back to us for us to like cook and shit. So that's where it started.
But what about now though? You talking about where it started, but what about now after you've already admitted that women, by your own thoughts, your own words.
Are there female incels?
I think so, maybe.
Would it be fair for society to shame a lonely old cat lady for being involuntarily celibate?
No.
Would it be fair? No.
How likely are men to have sex with a lonely woman out of pity?
I guess it depends on who you ask. I'd say pretty likely.
I mean, who out of pity, lonely maybe. Yeah, I think you can notice that a woman could be lonely, but I don't think that you're gonna pity her. You may just be attracted to her. I mean, but I guess somebody out there might just do a pity fuck, which is strange, but you know.
How likely are women to have sex with lonely men out of pity?
Oh, unlikely. They just want men that are rich and famous.
Oh, these lazy cockroaches.
How likely are women to have sex with lonely men out of pity?
Not so likely.
True.
Why is that?
Because a woman wants a man that looks strong and feels strong, and she feels like she's going to be protected, and that's what they look for. So if you look like you're the weak one cowering in the corner, she's probably not going to go up to you.
Church.
Men think that there are these issues. Like, if you were more confident, or if you just like put yourself out there more, you just like, F it, whatever, just do it. I guarantee you, it doesn't matter what the woman's standards are. That's what they're attracted to.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't front. She motherfucking spitting right now. I ain't gonna lie. When you see it, you have to acknowledge and respect it. And she's spitting right now. I'm telling y'all, she's spitting.
Let me ask you this. So if you woke up tomorrow and you were a guy and you wanted to get laid like most guys do, how would you do it?
I'd go to a bar,
Okay.
find a pretty girl sitting at the bar, sit down, and I'd ask them if I could buy them a drink.
She got a point, man. She's not capping.
Literally. That's
Not
all you have to
capping.
do. Make yourself there. Present yourself. Be confident.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that, I mean, in both situations, a woman has to make herself available and a man has to make themselves available. Obviously, one looks a lot different than the other. One is inherently more passive and one has to be more active. The active role, of course, being the man's role. In order for a man to secure a woman, you generally have to be more active. You have to have that confidence. You have to move forward. You have to progress. It's the man's job to have to make that move in order to pursue. I mean, just look at our parents, depending on how old you are, maybe your grandparents. Your grandparents didn't have Instagram. They didn't have Twitter. They didn't have Tinder. They didn't have any of these social media apps in order to be social with women. They had to make their way over to a woman. They had to go to a social function. They had to look nice. They had to play. You had to do the song and dance. You have to do the song and dance. It's evolutionary. You know what I mean? That's just the way that it is.
I understand that, but if that was true, why would there be so many guys who complain about being stuck in the friend zone?
Because they don't fucking they don't apply pressure. They're not applying pressure. That's the problem.
Because they're too busy trying to be the nice guy. They're not actually presenting themselves that they want this. They're looking like the friend, so we see them as a friend.
She's spitting, bro.
Prefer a man who is a gentleman or a bad boy?
I like a gentleman.
Is it fair to say women lust after bad boys but want to settle down with nice guys?
Yes.
How do bad boys treat women?
Like shit.
What's the difference between a man who spoils his woman and a man who's whipped?
What's the difference between a man that spoils his woman and a man that's whipped?
His level of consent and his part in happiness in doing whatever he's doing for his woman. If he's not happy doing it, if he's resenting her,
It depends on the authority that he puts down. Like, there could be a man that spoils his woman in a certain way. He takes her to dinner, he takes her out, he takes her on vacation. And then there's the men that literally bow down hand and foot for their women, that their women are running all over them.
Simps. Can you say it with me? Simps. Big simping. Hand and knee. Look at y'all. Come on now. Present yourselves. Be you know what I mean? Have some coofs. Have some pride with yourself, why don't you? I don't mean to judge, but like, come on. Let's be real. Come on.
If a woman expects to be spoiled, doesn't that mean she expects her man to be whipped?
No.
Do men shame each other for being whipped the same way women slut shame each other for being easy?
Yes.
I don't know about that. I do know that men will shame their friends for being whipped, and I think that's a problem with the patriarchy.
Does every incel hate women?
No.
Does every feminist hate men?
Probably, yes.
That's lazy.
Yes.
Does every incel hate women?
I don't believe every incel hates women. I think that they might be shyer than most men. I think more alpha males end up getting more sex than more beta males do.
Does every
She believes
feminist
in the concept of alphas and betas.
hate men?
Yes.
Don't jack that.
I'm not a feminist. I am more of a traditional woman.
But this is the thing, right? This is probably one of the most important takeaways of feminisms, or the conversations against feminism. You hate man, you hate penis. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna say all, because I know better than that, but a pretty sizable amount of feminists are getting their back blown out by a man. How do you hate men if you're willingly conceding to a man when you get your back blown out by him? That's not true. It's not true. There's some of them who maybe they just, I don't know. I genuinely think that there's some feminists out there who genuinely hate men. I do believe so, but no, let's not paint this picture. It's not the case, bro.
And so
Feminists are getting fucked.
I really can't speak on the feminist woman because I don't agree with most of them.
What is the patriarchy?
Patriarchy is... You're going to make me describe this.
How do you define?
She deadass does not even want to say it. I get that impression. She has no interest in saying it, bruh. Oh my God. It's like, I feel like for a lot of the interview, great, and she hasn't been in it since the beginning, but it's like, ugh.
Define it.
Well,
She's just like, oh my God, please don't make me say this.
the old white men who have deemed what is acceptable for men and women, the roles of men and women, social norms, the leads. It's all back to old white men deciding for everybody.
That was such a weak expression, explanation. Look at this fucking kid. Oh man, shout out to Sneeko though. Word, Sneeko's definitely been a very pivotal part in this, I guess, influx of attention that my man has gotten. So shout out to Sneeko for that. Oh man, like I said, bro, my son is so litigious and it's absolutely amazing. He's so eloquent in his responses, and I think that he does his job incredibly well. He's always very well spoken, and he doesn't necessarily talk at women, he talks to women, and that's something that I feel like a lot of people in the red pill community don't do, and they could stand to learn greatly from him. Yeah, man, this is another video. I enjoyed this. If people enjoyed this, I would definitely consider watching some more. Nah, fuck that. Let me be honest. If you guys enjoyed this, I definitely will watch some more. Even if you guys didn't enjoy this, I still might just do some more because I like these so much. I have a good time watching these. So just saying. Hey, as you can see down here, I have all my socials. Make sure that you're tapped in, man.
I don't always do this type of content, but I enjoy doing it. I like doing dumb shit. Obviously, if you subscribe to me for my shorts, you're more than aware. A lot of my Instagram, a lot of my Twitter, and my TikTok is a bunch of dumbness or whatever the case is. But I like cartoons and stuff like that, so I do a lot of cartoon work. I work with cartoons, make, silly, nasty jokes out of them and stuff like that. So if you're into that, that'd be cool. And Twitch, I'm currently at the moment streaming Samurai Jack. I'm watching the whole series through. I just finished the first season yesterday on stream, and I'll be doing live again tonight. Hopefully, if I do this right, I'll upload this video on the same day that I'm recording it. But without any further ado, my name is Cool Hands. It's been a pleasure to make your acquaintance. And if you've joined me here before, it's been a pleasure for you to give me your time. And we're giving each other the time. You know what I'm saying? So, just like that. Boo-boo-da!